This is Amateur Logic, episode 96 for October 15th, 2016. This episode of Amateur Logic was brought to you by MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com, and by Icom. Enjoy the competition. Contest season is here. Time to hit the airwaves. Hi, welcome to Amateur Logic, episode 96. I'm George.
I'm Tommy.
I'm Peter.
And I'm Emile.
And we've got a full show lined up as usual. Tonight we're celebrating a little something special, aren't we, Tommy?
Yeah, we are. This is our 11th year of being of doing the show. And again, I say it every year, but time sure has flown, and it's been a great year, and a great 11 years. I hope we have at least 11 more.
Yep. Yeah, me too. It has, and it's been pretty quick 11 years too. But Peter, how many years have you been with us now?
I'll just deduct 2 from the total, so that'd be 9.
9. Wow, that's a pretty long time too. And Emile, you've been back with us. I think it's almost a year now, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been watching though as long as Peter is mentioning. If I remember right, it was a couple of years past Katrina where I started watching the show.
Yeah, and you were actually on a few episodes 2-3 years back too.
Yeah, I've been in and out.
So
enjoying it.
We've had some cheapness all along, and that's a good thing.
And we shouldn't forget Mike, who's been on 1 or 2 episodes as well.
Oh yeah, Mike, the E3MIC. I hate to even start mentioning other folks because we've had Dan and not LVS. We've had a lot of folks.
Yeah, can't forget Jimmy the Torch Burrell.
Oh yeah, can't forget Jimmy.
Oh yes,
he was in.
Actually, isn't it Jimmy's birthday today?
I
think it is.
Oh,
and happy birthday, Jimmy.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jim.
Happy birthday.
You know, we had Jim with us for the 10th anniversary that we shot last October. Didn't twist his arm and get him to come back this year because we're not doing a best of segment this time around. We just did that last year, so we've shown all the good stuff within the last 12 months. Well, not all the good stuff, but a lot of it. So we thought tonight we'd do normal segments like we always do, but of course we're going to give away this IC-7300 from Icom along with nice little switching power supply that you can see if I pull back a little bit here. Maybe.
There you go.
There you go.
40 meter off center fed dipole from MFJ and RG8X coax from them as well, and some of our private stock faux gold PL259s. Tommy didn't want to give these up, but we still got a bag of them down there, so we figured what the heck.
Like I said, if you win them, you don't have to put them on the coax, but it would be expected for you to at least wear them out in public at least one time.
We're not saying where though, so you'll have to use your own better judgment on that. Well, we got a lot going on tonight, Tommy. What type of segment have you got for us this time coming up?
Well, I've decided to participate. As long as I've been playing around with DStar, I decided to play around with the DStar QSO Party this year, and I had a few challenges to do it, but I had a good time. But anyway, that's pretty much my adventure for the month.
Okay, and Peter, what are you going to be showing us this time?
My vintage radio and some of the learnings about buying vintage radios.
Some learnings. That sounds like That could be important to know. Emile, what about you?
I am continuing down my networking avenues that I mentioned a few episodes ago, and I have some packet over packet over packet over packet segment information.
So the way that it was spelled out, it was not poop. It was.
No, it wasn't
pop.
poop. It was
Okay.
one of the OP, like VoIP or other OP. Not
Okay.
poop.
Okay.
And you are looking pretty sharp tonight, by the way, Emile. I
Yeah.
don't think you
Saw
ever
that?
looked better.
You saw that? I am officially, I think, now a part of the best dressed ham club.
You are.
You are? Boy, give that man a gold PL259.
Woohoo!
You got yours on too, Peter? I can't see.
Yes, I have indeed.
Oh, there
Oh,
you go.
wow,
You're
yeah.
I'm the only one that's not representing. Shame on me.
Yep. Shame on you. As a matter of fact, you should just take that shirt off and get you a Sharpie and just,
Just write it
just
right
write
there.
it. Yeah. Just write it on.
Yeah, it'd be like on the basketball team in high school, shirts and skins. I don't really think we want to go there.
No.
I don't
Well,
know if y'all did that. Back in our school, we did. That's how they divided up teams.
well, I've got something tonight using an Arduino. I haven't done an Arduino project lately, and it was time, and I've got a fun little one here that we're going to take a look at. Right now, though, let's get into the few of the emails tonight. I got an email from George AC6RB, and he said, thank you for the Pico balloons with the WB8 ELK. He just set up a web page for Bill, so if you guys want to get a Pico balloon, you can get it now. This is where you can go right here. He tells a little bit about it. You can.
Yes, and I should mention, George, and for everybody, that I've actually ordered mine. I decided that this is the quickest and simplest way to put a Pico balloon in the air, and they weigh next to nothing, so perfect. So I've ordered mine, and we'll hope to fly that in the next month or so.
That'll be nice. And I saw your email earlier, and where you said you did. Yeah, that makes good sense because it's already there. We know it works. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a really expensive balloon and helium
Sure.
for it. So it's a good way to get it up and going quick, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. There's a few extra little tips that I've actually gathered since I made my ballooning episode some years ago. It's a while ago, actually. But and that actually concerns the amount of extra weight and the degree the degree to which you fill up the balloon. And these things are important because you put too much helium into the balloon, it'll explode when it gets up in the air. So when I actually get to fly, I'll go through all those tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, we've seen the board now, in a recent episode, so it'll be good to see one of us flying one, and we'll try to catch it when it comes over the U.S. That'll be cool.
Yes,
on the air, Peter, not by hand.
Right.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed though that some of these balloons actually go around the world several times.
Yeah.
But if they're launched in the southern hemisphere, they stay in the southern hemisphere, and likewise in the northern hemisphere. So I expect if mine keeps going, it'll go over South America and then come around through South Africa and then back to Australia.
Oh, wow. Well, when you launch it, give it a good push north.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. Well, Tommy, you've got an email here from one of our friends.
Yeah, I do. It's actually a blog post that saw posted on Twitter about it, and it's from our friend Arnie, K5ARN. I think Arnie's in the chat room tonight, too. But anyway, he says, congratulations, AmateurLogic.TV, on your 11th year anniversary. Said after retirement, he's looking for a hobby. Twit TV and Ham Nation gave him inspiration to try ham radio. Technician and general license exams were passed in March of 2012. He'd never seen ham radio. He was shocked by all the knobs and buttons and transceivers. He goes on to say he still had no Elmers, though. So he found friends from Jackson in Australia, George, Tommy, Jim, and Peter. They became my online Elmers. I downloaded all episodes that at that time were somewhat less than 50 episodes. So he's been on with us for a good while. Anyway, he went on a 16-day cruise and he watched all the episodes. So anyway, some of them he watched twice. I couldn't imagine spending my cruise watching us, but anyway, accept my warmest congratulations to Amateur Logic. Thanks for your dedicated effort to promote amateur radio, support the amateur radio community for 11 years and counting. 73 K5ARN. Appreciate that, Arnie. It's been, like I said earlier, it's been a great 11 years, and we've met a lot of great friends like yourself. I always look forward to seeing you at the Hamfest and everything, and really appreciate the kind post.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Arnie. By the way, we didn't have the link on that picture because I grabbed it just before showtime here. Where can they read that blog? Oh,
they can get it at... It's a very unique URL, hamseatingchicken.com. Hamseatingchicken.com. And I'll have to get the story from Arnie sometime on how he came up with that.
Oh, I think I know. I just figured it out. It's not ham sitting chicken. It's hams eating chicken.
Hams eating there you go. How could I miss that?
I don't know.
Hamseatingchicken.com. That's good.
Yeah, that works. Boy, I'm glad we figured that one out because I was really starting to wonder, was it a Swedish thing or something? Did we somehow miss it? But no, Ham's eating chicken.
Yeah. Boy, I butchered that whole puzzle up.
Well, Peter, give us a little intro into your segment tonight.
Yes. Well, look, one of the things that got me interested in radio was a lovely old radio that my grandparents owned. And you, like me, may have thought about actually going out and buying one of these radios. Well, I did, and I had a few learnings from the experience, and so that's why I prepared this segment.
Hello and welcome once again. As you probably have gathered from my collection of shortwave receivers, I'm a big fan of shortwave radio and the HF spectrum. The reason for this is that when I went to my grandparents' place as a child, they had a lovely old shortwave radio. It stood on the floor and was about 4 foot high, with the dial and the knobs on the top. By then I already owned a small crystal set, so I knew how to hook up a piece of wire and receive some stations on the shortwave band. It tuned from about 3 megacycles up to about 12 megacycles. The reason that the frequency was measured in cycles and not hertz was because in those days Hertz was a car rental company. I really enjoyed tuning around listening to the stations, such as the Chinese and other stations in foreign languages, but I also really enjoyed the Art Deco look of the radio and the deep bassy sound that it produced. Sadly, the radio fell into a state of disrepair, and when I was offered it after my grandmother passed away, prior to the introduction of the internet, I thought it irreparable and let it go to the tip. So, some years later, I thought I'd buy a radio with the same look and feel of my grandparents' old radio, and I bought this old radio on eBay. I found a seller on eBay in New Zealand who was selling old antique radios at relatively inexpensive prices, and had this one shipped to Australia. If you look at the dial, you'll see that it covers from about 530 kilocycles to 1600 kilocycles, and also from 6 megacycles to 18 megacycles. The shortwave allocations of the time are marked on the dial. For example, the 31 and 49 meter band allocations, but it doesn't feature some of the new allocations, such as the 22 meter band, which can also be found around 13 megacycles. You will also see local New Zealand radio stations such as 2YA and 1YB marked on the radio. So when I plugged in my radio and turned it on for the first time, I was surprised to hear nothing other than the occasional burst of static. I had hooked up an antenna and I could just hear 1 or 2 stations on the medium wave band. Now at this point one might be tempted to go and poke around the inside of the circuitry at the back, My advice is that unless you've been properly trained in servicing such old valve radios, don't go poking around in the back, especially if you have the power plugged in. There are very high voltages and currents in the circuitry, and you could injure or kill yourself. However, I've unplugged my radio from the power, and we're now going to have a peek to see what condition the old radio is in. As you can see, this is a 6-valve radio. The transformers appear to be in good condition for their age, and it's clear that someone has replaced the speaker at some point and probably done some repair work to the case as well. You can also see the antenna and ground connections at the back. Most of the circuitry is underneath this metal plate, and it's a real rabbit warren of old large capacitors and resistors. I took the radio to a local radio repair shop and had some basic repair work done on it to get it to running order. To fully restore it would be prohibitively expensive, but at least I can now receive a few stations. I'm now going to give you a demo of the radio. Now, I've had this running for a few minutes, so it should fire up relatively quickly, but when I first turned it on, it took over 30 seconds before the valves heated up and I could actually hear the radio. Now we turn it on, and I've got it, let's see, it's on AM now, and any second now I should be start receiving. There we go. Now there's a local AM radio station. As you can hear, the volume dial here is a little bit touchy and not making a perfectly clean connection, but that's perfectly acceptable sound. Now the other thing is the shortwave band, so we'll flick over to the shortwave band, and I've hooked it up to my vertical antenna outside, which is not an optimum antenna setup. Ideally you would use something like a preamplifier plus an antenna tuning unit, but we should be able to receive some stations with this setup. Now the selectivity is quite good. That is the separation between stations. They don't bleed over into each other. That's good. Now this knob, I'm not quite sure what it is. It could be a tone knob, it could be a selectivity knob, not quite sure, but it does seem to add a little bit of treble if you turn it fully anti-clockwise. It's possibly a selectivity tuner, not quite sure. But anyway, that's the radio. It's now in a reasonable working order, and it's quite pleasant to listen to. So what have been my learnings about these old radios? First, they're a beautiful piece of furniture and evoke a time when radio was the only way a migrant to Australia could keep in touch with news of the place or country they had migrated from. Next, if you do want to buy an old radio like this, I'd suggest finding a store that has fully restored not only the exterior of the radio, but also restored the electronics. I think you'll find that buying a fully restored radio will work out cheaper than buying an unrestored one and having a repair shop work on it. Another piece of advice would be to try and buy a radio that comes with a circuit diagram, or that you can find a circuit diagram for, because that will make repair of such a radio much easier and probably cheaper. And finally, if possible, look at the radio before you buy and have a listen on each of the bands to get an idea as to whether the sound and feel of the radio suits you.
That's a good lesson there. You know, I would not have thought about those things, and I see you thought of them for us.
Oh, well, it's more what came out of my experience that gave the lessons. But that's the way you learn these things. I will say, V3 MIC Mike asks, is it that everyone says they like the warm, mellow sound of a tube amp simply because it lacks treble? I don't think so. I can't put my finger on what it is, but there's a certain warmth that you get out of the sound of a tube amp that I don't often hear in transistor radios and the like. Don't know why, but it just seems, as I say, a very warm sound that you get.
George, I'll add something to that one. I bet you and I, as musicians, might have some experience in the analog tube amplifier side of the world. There's the same thing existing there, whether it's guitar or any audio. There's something different about it.
I think actually it's the imperfections in the tube amplifier circuitry. There's more harmonics and stuff that are being generated just inside the tube itself, and I think that's generally what they say is happening. That and if you saturate the tube, then you're changing the characteristics of the dynamics a little bit. But I think probably what you notice most, Peter, is those older radios had a much wider bandwidth to them than the newer ones. As the bands have gotten more crowded, I'm talking about the AM radio band now, more stations are in there closer together. Interference is worse, so the manufacturers have narrowed the bandwidth of radios substantially over the years. The real old ones really sound a lot better. There's a lot better bandwidth there. So really, AM radio does not sound as bad as you really hear it on a more recent vintage radio.
Well, I'll tell you something. Something I love doing with various different radios, the ones with the widest bandwidths, obviously, is listening around on our AM radio stations here in Melbourne. And the amount of bandwidth that's being transmitted actually varies from station to station. Unfortunately, we have enough space, not so many stations here, that, the stations don't interfere with each other. And so some stations you can actually receive, they'll have up to, say, 10 kilohertz bandwidth, even though they're probably legally not supposed to. And I can tell you the sound, when you've got a nice wideband radio, listening to that sounds terrific.
Yeah, the bandwidth of the radio makes all the difference in the world. I use my HF rig for listening to AM with a lot, and it's far superior to the AM receivers like in my car. But back in the 60s and 70s modeled AM car radios sounded really good.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe we should move back to tubes.
or more bandwidth and less interference.
In the RF end too, George. I mean, I've always heard those sayings when talking to the people on some of the HF bands. Nothing talks like glass, right?
Yeah, I hear that, but let me just say I work on high power transmitters, and I've got some with glass and some that are solid state. You really don't hear the difference, But it's nice, the warm glow, It's particularly good in the winter. Well, Peter, you've got, is it an email for us there or a Facebook post? What have you got to talk about tonight?
I've got two Facebook posts to go through today. But the first one is actually quite interesting. Both of them are interesting. But the first one is from Joe. And Joe posted to Facebook, he said, I've got an old C-band spun metal satellite dish out back. It's an 8-foot dish. We use some great high gain and power access points / stations at work. I've got a couple of them here. Thinking about mounting one in the focal point and panning the dish around, I wonder how much gain I will get. Well, that's a very interesting question, Joe. First of all, there's a couple of factors that will affect the amount of gain that a dish actually gets. The main one is frequency, okay? So the gain you get on, say, KU band will be quite different to the gain you get on C band. And you're proposing, I think here, probably 2.4 megahertz. So you'll probably even get less gain than, say, KU or C band. So I looked around on the internet. Figures I came across were, and it will vary according to the quality of the dish. C band would be 38 dB, KU 46, and so I estimate that the 2.4 gigahertz band would be about 30 dB. Having said that, I would say that's just the gain of the dish. Now, of course, you've got the LNB, which can amplify further, but the problem with that is that when you've got LNB amplifying what the dish has received, you're amplifying both the signal and the noise, so you don't get an improvement in the signal-to-noise ratio.
Well, Emile, you've got, this comes from the other community. What were you going to talk about?
Well, if you're following us on Google Plus, which is where I frequent, our buddy VE3MIC, Mike Marneau, wrote about or brought up the FCC's approval of a company's called Energis. Hope I'm saying that right. Energis Corporation. They got approval from the FCC to actually have a device that gets charge power from RF itself. Now he wrote that's not to be confused, with wireless induction charging, where you place your device on top of a coil or something like that. But this is actually getting its power from RF. And I went and looked up those FCC documents and approvals from this company, and it looks like their permit is in the 2.4 gig and 5 gig band. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're doing device-wise. Yeah,
so are they trying to transmit power, or are they trying to still 2.4 and 5 gigs that just happens to be floating around out there?
I'm unsure exactly what they're doing, but I can remember a quote from Tesla where he pretty much said, one of his visions was, I forget the quote exactly, or many generations will pass and man will be able to obtain power from any point in the universe. I mean, that's one of the most fundamental things he was working on, right? Getting power through the air to all these, whether it was signal or power, I think he was actually looking at power.
Yeah. The reason I said that is because nothing is free, when you're talking about power. So if they're going to use these devices to pick up 2.4 gigahertz signals and produce electricity with it, you're going to lose a little bit of signal on your Wi-Fi router, because
you're probably
it's not free. They had similar situations happen on some 50 kilowatt broadcast stations, AM stations, where people located real near the transmitter site. I think they found one in a barn. Someone had put some big inductors and such in it, and were actually sucking out power out of the air, getting a little electricity from that, and it was creating a null in that direction for the station. They got busted.
Nice.
So that'll be interesting to see. I think
there's a couple of revolutions going on, whether it's power or actual signals out to the last mile, internet providing. Both of those are kind of in flux right now. Everybody's competing. Yep.
Well, we're going to be back in just a minute here. First, let's get a message from MFJ Enterprises.
With radio gear, it's often important to test your transmitter or linear amplifier into a dummy load. You may need to tune an amplifier on a desired frequency without disturbing others. Maybe you need to verify your transmitter is performing normally or rule out antenna problems. Dummy loads play an invaluable role in a variety of operating and troubleshooting situations. No one offers hams more options in versatile dummy loads than MFJ. Here's just 4 popular models of the more than 1 dozen choices available. The economical MFJ 260C is an air-cooled 300-watt load that covers 160 meters through 650 megahertz. It's available with either SO239 or Type-In connector. The powerful MFJ 250 VersaLoad is one of the most popular dummy loads ever created for legal limit operation. The 1-gallon cantina style load has long been a favorite of many because of its high power handling, compact size, and low cost. The MFJ 263 covers DC to 3 gigahertz with a heavy-duty air-cooled heatsink design. It handles up to 300 watts and has an incredibly low and flat SWR curve across the entire spectrum. The MFJ267 is two pieces of valuable test equipment in one package. It's a dummy load and SWR watt meter with a range of DC to 60 MHz and power handling up to 1500 watts. The Precision True Peak Reading Watt Meter not only gives you more accurate measurement of peak transmitter power and easy-to-use SWR cross needles, it can be switched between either the built-in load or your antenna system. Check out MFJ's complete line of dummy loads. There's one that's perfect for you. MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com.
I've been using MFJ's dummy loads a lot longer than I've been a ham. I bought one of their little loads to use as a radio station for working on our remote pickup transmitters and such. You know, little, what you'd use to get a signal from a remote broadcast back to the studios. Little 40-watt FM transmitters. Picked up, and that was my first MFJ product, is I bought one of their little 300-watt loads to use with that. Well, Tommy, you're going to talk about what tonight?
Well, I did my segment on the DStar QSO Party. It was actually in September. It's a little bit late, but I decided I'd try my hand at it, and first time, as many years as I've done DStar, it's my first time to try it out, and it didn't, while it was fun, I had a few challenges, so I went ahead and went through with it anyways, but anyway, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Today's a big day for us DStar fans. It's the annual Icom's DStar QSO Party. Icom puts it on. They give away some pretty cool prizes for it. This year I hope to win the ID51A Plus 2, the one that's just released. Hasn't even hit the store shelves yet, so I want to be one of the first ones to get that. So today I'm going to use my BlueStack Micro and my DV Mega that we set up last month. It's inside my little 3D printed box I made for it. You can see it's already paired up and the light's blinking. And I'm going to use it with my BlueSpot software on my tablet, like you saw as well, and I've already got it set up. I'm going to use the ID51 today because it's going to be a little easier just to kind of show you with all this stuff here in the same shot. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and look at the rules. It runs from September the 23rd at 00 UTC through the 25th at 2400 UTC. Well, I'm a little bit late getting started, which that's okay. It's Saturday morning on the 24th right now, and it's about almost 10 o'clock my local time, so I've still got some time to get in. To get into the drawing, you need to get at least 10 QSOs on a repeater in your country. That gives you one drawing point. There's a few rules on here that show how you can get more points. You can get up to 4. I guess that gets your name in the drawing 4 times. To be entered in, you need to submit your log via email or fax. You can do an Excel sheet that they provide that you can download, or you can get a PDF and print it out and do a handwritten log, which I don't really care to do that. But you can get your log right here. There's a log sheet. To save time, I went ahead and downloaded the log, and I've got it set up here. So I have it running in numbers, and I went ahead and put my call sign on here, and I'm ready to go. So I hope to get at least my 10 so I can get my name into the drawing, but I want a lot more than that. So let's see what we can do. Oh yeah, to submit the log, there's an email address here, and it's on the rules page. If you scroll down, you can see there's an email address right there, and just email your log there. You can fax it. There's a number to fax to, or you can email it to that. Either way is get you in there. Let's talk about the exchange for just a minute. The exchange is pretty easy. When you get on, you make your call. CQ DStar 2016 QSO Party, and the station comes back to you. The exchange is basically your call sign, signal report, and the year that you got started in DStar, which is 2012 for me. I actually had to go back and look that up. I couldn't remember. So anyway, it's been a fun 4 years, and I hope to have a lot more of it with it. You would think the exchange or the signal report is a little bit funny since it's all digital and there's not really an S meter, but there is a copy quality involved in it. So everybody's not going to be a 5.9 because some people are not into the repeater very clean and everything. So you may get something other than 5.9, but I suspect most of them will probably be. But to be honest with you, even when you're on HF and you get a signal report, probably 99% of them are 5.9 whether they are or not. So I'm going to just try on a reflector first. I'll try 30 Charlie, although I suspect it's pretty crowded. So I went ahead and got my Blue Spot software. Again, it's all paired up to my Bluetooth on my BlueStack micro board and my DV Mega. I'm just powered off of the battery. Oh, incidentally, just to add another little challenge to it, Comcast decided my internet's broken around here right now, and it's supposed to come out later today and fix it, but in the meanwhile I'm using the hotspot on my cell phone. So we'll see how that pans out. But I've already got all that stuff set up now. So let's connect to 30 Charlie.
To our Saturday chores, running around here and there spending money. Very good. Have a good day up there in Memphis. This is K1 PRS clear.
Okay, let's try 1 Charlie. CQ 2016 DStar QSO Party. This is November 5 Zulu November Oscar. Well, is it working?
November 5 Zulu November Oscar,
W4HH. You say W4HH? This is Tommy in 5ZNO. Good morning.
November.
Yeah, you were breaking up on me that time. CQ 2016 DStar QSO Party.
CQ DStar QSO Party Delta Lima to Foxtrot Delta Lima.
Delta Lima to Foxtrot Delta Lima. This is Tommy, Tango Oscar Mike Yankee. You're 5'9", USA, and my report is 2012-2012.
Good morning to you. Good evening from here. You were 5'9", 2007. Over.
Well, with the challenges with the internet connection from my phone, apparently Verizon's having some issues too. I'm having some problems here, but I was able to make one contact, and that was my first one. So I'm going to get my internet fixed. The guy should be here any time now, and then I'm going to get back on and try to finish out my log so I can get my name entered into that contest. I'd be curious to hear from some of you guys that participated this year. How many contacts did you get, and how many countries? Anyway, 73. We'll catch you next time.
Looks like you probably didn't win the radio.
I didn't even get my 10 contacts, man. Comcast didn't show up until like late Sunday afternoon, and I was having trouble. I use that hotspot on that phone all the time, but that weekend it was like the data would go and then it would just stop, and then it would go and it would stop, and you could actually kind of hear that in the audio there. So it was quite a challenging weekend. I almost scrapped the segment, but I mean, it just goes to show you everything doesn't always go as you expect it to. But I had a good time trying anyway, and the few contacts I got, I had a great time.
Yeah.
But I'll be back next year for it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess it just wasn't your year to win.
It wasn't meant to be. So I'll have to get mine the old-fashioned way and pay for it.
Yep. Well, you've got an email here from one of our friends. Why don't you tell us what you got there?
I've got one from PA3RW. I think it's pronounced Rudd, R-U-U-D. Anyway, he says, "Hi, Tommy. I'm a very big fan of your program, Amateur Logic, with George and Peter, and I'm a Linux and Mac fan as well, like you. I did find out after a bit of browsing on the web about the Linux distro Shackbox. It's an Ubuntu-based distro, especially for hams. Since I did have an old Windows-based notebook, which was not in use because of Windows," that's funny, "I thought I'd give it a try and launch Slackbox on it. It turned out to be really good stuff. I'm not sure if it'll work on my Raspberry Pi 3B, but he's going to try it later. Maybe you can try it and share it on the program. You can find it at Shackbox.net. I think I said Slackbox, but it's actually Shackbox. It's a free download. Keep up the good job with Amateur Logic, Rude, PA3RW. Anyway, it's that's an interesting looking distro, and I've got an old laptop that was my wife's, and I may actually do that in an upcoming segment. I did a Linux segment quite a few years back, but this looks pretty interesting, and I think I might try to do something with it and share it a little bit later on.
Yeah, that does sound like it could be interesting. I've got an old computer. I should give it a shot too.
Yeah, you should. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I've got, it's not really an email. It is a graphic here done by our friend Chip, K9MIT, who's over in the chat room right now, and he wanted to wish us a happy anniversary. ALTV 11 years. And he's wishing it to George, Tommy, Jim, Peter, and Emile.
Nice.
And thanks for that, Chip. He's a big supporter of the program, and he's always in the chat room over there creating a ruckus or one thing or another. And we appreciate all his efforts. And he gives us some pretty good tips. Some of the segments that we've done in the past have, actually come from some ideas that Chip had. So
yeah, he's been a great friend of the show. Appreciate that hard work, Chip.
Yeah. Well, Emile, why don't you set up your? It's not poop, you said. It's what?
It is not poop, George. No, it's again. I started going down the network roads a couple of episodes ago, and I'm continuing down those paths. So we all know a little bit about packet radio, and I just wanted to show there's two things in this segment. One is packet radio itself using a sound modem instead of the traditional TNC. And then the second one is extending that over an Ethernet, which is hence the reason for the poop or packet over a packet over a packet. You'll see.
Okay, let's watch it.
Hi everybody. For this segment, I wanted to show everybody how I extended my UZ7HO sound modem over my local area network here at the house. The developer of UZ7HO sound modem is Andrei Kopchuk, hope I said that right, out of the Ukraine. So quite a good software. In a traditional TNC packet radio station, you have three pieces: the computer or dumb terminal, the TNC itself, and then the radio with all of the physical wires. The software then modulates the audio frequency at different speeds. Most common one in this case is going to be the 1200 baud packet. With this setup, the TNC itself and some of the wires as well are virtual and is a software on the computer. As you can see here, I've reduced my setup at the TNC side to three devices. Basically the computer, the radio, and the antenna. And then I extended that over my network or local area network from the shack to the house. I also did the same at the W5SLA clubhouse on their packet station, so it does work across multiple models of radio and combinations. I've gotten this sound modem to work with his own terminal as well as others, including the WinLink Express software and AGW terminal, Exaster APRS, and others as well. Once you have this system set up in place, there's very functional softwares and systems out there to use over packet radio, so lots of functionality available. Whether it's MCOM or messaging or situational awareness, it's very functional combinations, again, of software available once you have this up and running. Here's a page of most of the references, and now I'll show you what I've done here over the LAN, all the way from this station here to out to the radio or the TNC in the shack extended. Well, here is the digital station, remote station that I've set up to really test the UZ7HO sound modem out to its fullest. And as you can see here on a laptop, I have on the right hand side the Easy Term software by UZ7HO, and on the left RMS Express, latest version there. And then on top of that is the Raspberry Pi display via VNC running DRATs for DStar. There's the Pi there. So it's extended remote, so I don't have to be in the shack for this to work. It's over my WLAN within the house that I'm accessing that TNC software out by the radio. One thing worth mentioning as well about the DStar software, especially in reference to this sound modem, since the sound modem emulates the AGWPE interface over TCP/IP, DRATs itself, the program, will run over a TNC as well. Right now it's set up for DStar, and also I can hit the rig over RF Direct, but right now it's hitting all the RAT flectors over the internet. But it is good to note that it is capable of using a TNC or AGWPE interface, so I can also port that over my rig, over my LAN network. Very useful software, this UZ7HO, and all the other things that work with it. So 73, and hence packet over packet over packet. This is the internet connection that enters the house to a gigabit LAN switch here, which then in turn distributes it throughout the house. And I have the PoE, or Power over Ethernet, injector for the actual Ubiquiti, seen in earlier episodes, sending it out to the shack. And I have the bridge mode WAP, the Ubiquiti WAPs. That's the remote end on the shack side of the world. So in the shack, side, I'm also running the PoE injector down through in bridge mode to another switch, basically, or acting as a switch, or rather I had sitting around. And on the PC itself is the actual UZ7HO sound modem software, newest version there, which does both KISS TNC and the AGWPE at the same time. So that's why in the house side I could have both RMS Express and also the terminal hooked to it at the same time, because they use different TCP/IP ports over the LAN. So very functional software. This has probably been running up for several weeks now without troubles. It's all 64-bit Windows, and of course then ultimately that heads out to the radio here via local packet frequencies. And if you notice, I'm only running 5 watts on that rig because there's a local digipeater here. Has very good range and lots of services that are aware of it. So good stuff from UZ7HO for sure.
It just works, and you can extend it over your networks within your house, or even if you have something that can send it out further, like the Ubiquitys, you can do that as well. So 73 is KE5QKR, cheap old man.
Emile, that looked pretty nice and cheap too.
It was definitely cheap. Maybe not some of the rigs or the pieces in between or on the endpoints, but the softwares themselves are cheap, free, and they just work. I mean, that sound modem, I've used the AGWPE items, and it's fun setting them up. This one is very easy to use, right on the go. And like you said, it's the right price.
Yep, the right price. Okay, well, we're going to be back in just a moment. First, we're going to get a message from Icom. You know, they help make AmateurLogic possible, and they're certainly going to help make this giveaway possible here in just a few moments. So don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to show you my latest Arduino project.
Attention all hams. Time to hit the airwaves. Contest season is here. Grab your Icom equipment and make as many contacts as you can this season. Good luck and let the competition begin. The real fun starts here with the revolutionary IC-7300. This innovative HF transceiver has a compact design and high performance. It's perfect for contesters on the go. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Push performance to the pinnacle with the IC-7600. Following in the footsteps of Icom's flagship radio, the IC-7600 features intuitive operation and the latest DSP technologies. Digital IF filter, dual DSP, 5.8-inch ultra-wide TFT display, and high-resolution real-time spectrum scope. Contesters, raise the bar with the IC-7851. Hear what others cannot with this HF 50 MHz transceiver. Reciprocal mixing dynamic range, crystal clear local oscillator design, real-time spectrum scope, dual receivers, digital voice recorder, and more. Hit the airwaves this contest season and visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all of Icom's great radios.
You know, I mentioned Arduino. That's one of my favorite things. I mean, the Raspberry Pi is nice too. Now, I enjoy it, but something about the Arduino just really catches my fancy. I guess it's because it's a little more basic. It's sort of like building stuff, except you can do it all in software. And so tonight we're going to show you my little Arduino push-button radio. I hope you enjoy it. This year at the Huntsville Hamfest, I bought several little kits to use with my Arduinos. This one is a TEA 5767 FM receiver module on a little chip and circuit board here, mounted to another circuit board for use with an Arduino. This contains a little audio amplifier and several other pieces on it. It's two connectors. One is for an FM antenna, and it comes with a little telescopic antenna included, and then another jack that's got audio output on it. I believe it's about 2.5 watts of audio out there. I just happen to have a need for a 6 push-button radio so that I can quickly switch between any of 6 stations I'm interested in monitoring and check on their status, and I thought this might be a fun little project to build that for. Here's what I came up with. An Arduino Uno as a microcontroller, the TEA 5767 FM receiver board, a row of 6 push buttons here to be used as memory presets, and 2 more push buttons here to be used to increment or decrement the frequency. There's also a row of 10 k ohm resistors up here tied to plus 5 volts to hold these inputs high. Let's take a look at the schematic. Pin 1 of the TEA 5767 module connects to plus 5 volts. Pin 2 of the module connects to Arduino analog input A3. Pin 3 connects to analog input A5,
and pin 4 connects to ground. Up on the digital inputs of the Arduino, pin number 2 connects to our first push button, and then pins 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 also have push buttons connected to them. The other side of our push buttons are connected to ground. Each of these inputs has a 10k ohm pull-up resistor connected to plus 5 volts. Whenever you press a button, it takes the voltage on the input of the Arduino from high to low. And that's how we'll trigger which memory preset we want to go to, or shift through the different frequencies of the receiver chip. Now there's no display with this project. You could include one, however, I didn't at this point. Let's take a look at the source code now. At the top we've just got a comment, and then we've got some includes and variables that need to be declared. Right below that is the setup function, and below that is the main loop of the program. And then down here near the bottom are some subroutines that are called by the main loop. So back up to the top, we're including the wire library, which is used for input and output connections with the Arduino. Then we're using the EEPROM library. This is going to allow us to write frequencies to memory addresses so we can recall them later. Then we're going to set up 8 of the pins on the Arduino to be used for buttons for input. We're going to set up 6 presets here for 6 of the buttons. We're going to declare a variable for frequency of type double. We're going to declare an integer that we'll just call count, that'll be used later to count how long we're holding a button down. Then we're going to declare a Boolean value, which will have to be true or false, called lockout, and this will be true whenever a button's being held down. Then an integer named locked button number. This will tell us which button is being held down. Then we'll create a structure called EEPROM object that will hold 6 doubles in it. We'll name presets. Then we'll create one more integer variable here called EE address, and that will represent the beginning address in the EEPROM storage. Now let's take a look at the setup function. This code will execute whenever the Arduino is started. It's basically going to set up the state of the machine. The first thing we've got here is a for statement that just sets up the 8 pins we're connecting our buttons to be inputs using the pin mode command. Then we've got another for loop that sets up 6 addresses within the EEPROM, and we're going to call them presets. Then we begin the wire library, and we'll read from EE address plus 25, which is, if you remember, EE address is 0. So we'll read from address number 25, and that will be the frequency that was stored the last time the radio was tuned. Then we'll call our set frequency function, which is below, to set the frequency. And then we're going to begin our serial terminal at 9600 baud. Then we can look on a terminal, if we happen to be connected serially, to see the various commands and states of the program as it runs. That's not necessary. It's mostly used for debugging in this case. Before we get into the main loop portion of the program, let's take a look below now at the subroutines. We've got one here called set frequency. It returns nothing, that's why it says void there. And we're passing a parameter, which is a floating point variable, named frequency. So when we call set frequency, we'll specify a frequency that we want to set it to. Then this code right here goes through and sets up the variables and calls the wire library to transmit that data over to our radio module. Below that, we've got a mute function here. If we call this function, it sets up everything to send a command to our radio module that tells it to mute the audio. Similarly, we've got one called unmute that unmutes the audio. And then here are our two EEPROM routines. This first one here will write a value, whichever value we pass in as a double number value, to address ADDR here. We convert our number to a byte, and then we write it in using a for loop, 1 byte at a time, into EEPROM address, whatever address we passed. The EEPROM read double subroutine does right the opposite. We pass an address to it, then it'll read the value that's located at that address and return it to us as a double. Now back up to the main loop of the program. This is where the program spends all its time, constantly going from top to bottom and then repeating. The first thing we're doing is we've got a for statement here that goes through and checks each of our 8 buttons. It does a digital read on each button pin. If it's low, that means that the button is being pressed. If that button happens to be low, then we're going to a switch statement. Depending on which time through the for loop this is, which is indicated by I, we're going to go to the case statements. If it happens to be button number 6, we execute this code. If it's button 7, then it's this code. If it's neither 6 nor 7, then we go to default here and execute this code. If it happens to be button 6 that's being held down, the first thing we're going to do is print out to our serial terminal a plus, just to indicate that the increase frequency button is being pressed. If the frequency is less than 107.7, which is the maximum frequency you could have for an FM station, then we're going to say the frequency is equal to the frequency plus 0.2 megahertz. We're going to increase the frequency by 0.2 megahertz each time that button is pressed. If it happened to be button 7 that was pressed, then we're going to print to the serial terminal a minus if the frequency happens to be greater than 88.1 megahertz, which is the lowest allowed FM frequency. Then we're going to set frequency to be equal frequency minus 0.2. Now, if neither button 6 nor 7 is held down, but it's another button, we'll come to this default block here. We'll set count to equal 0, and then we've got a do here. And what we're going to do inside this loop first is wait 250 milliseconds. Then we're going to increment the count variable by 1. And if count is greater than 3, that means that the button has been held down long enough, so we're going to program a preset. We'll choose the preset for whichever button was held down, and we're going to put the frequency into that preset. After we've done that, we'll write it to the EEPROM memory at the address, which was 0 as we saw in the declaration statement, plus the number of the button times 4, and we'll write the frequency there. Then we're going to set lockout equals true. That means ignore that the button is down temporarily. And then we're going to say locked out button number is equal to the number of the button. Now this do statement is a do while loop. That means while we're doing a digital read of the button pin, whichever number of button it was, equals low. This do loop is going to execute the whole time that the button pin that we're looking at is equal to low. Now after that, we've got a check to see if lockout equals true. Then we're going to set lockout to equal false. That means we reset our program preset indicator. Then we're going to mute the radio. This is a way that the user will know that a preset is being set. Just a little feedback for them. And then we're going to print to the serial terminal, in case there's one connected, preset plus string I, which
just means that we're going to print whatever number of button it was, and we convert it to a string so we can print it. And we're going to add to that equals. On the next line down here, we're going to print out whatever preset I is. You remember we set preset I to equal the frequency up here. So we're just going to print out preset, whatever button number it is, equals whatever the frequency is. Then we're going to pause for 1 second. After that, we set frequency will equal whatever preset number we were just dealing with. Below that, we're going to print frequency to the serial terminal. And then we're going to call the set frequency function using frequency as a variable. And that's this subroutine right down here. Then we'll delay 250 milliseconds. And then we'll write the value of frequency to EEPROM address, which is 0. We'll add 25 to that. So what we're writing right here is the last frequency the radio was tuned to. That way, if the radio is turned off, when we turn it back on, it will know what frequency that we left off with. And as we showed you earlier, here are the subroutines below that are being called from the main loop. Now let's take a look at it in actual operation. So here are our buttons. These are our presets. They're kind of laid out backwards for wiring convenience. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here's our increment and decrement buttons for the frequency right here. Let's try out our presets first. I've already got some programmed in here. If we try button number 1, button 2, 101.7. Button 3, 102.9. 4. 5 is 105.9, and then finally button number 6, 106.7. So we've got all of these programmed. Now let's go to one of the presets here and change it to something else. We can increment the frequency or decrement it. Let's go up till we find another station. There's one right there. Now if we want to reprogram this button, we just hold it down.
And so now they're switching from
and you heard the radio mute for about a second there. That one should be programmed. So now if we move around, come back to this one, it comes to our new frequency. So there you go, the little TEA 5767 module connected to an Arduino Uno and acting as a 6-push button radio. Doesn't have a display on it. We can add that to it. Perhaps I will at a later date, but for right now, I just needed 6 buttons I could monitor 6 stations with.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is cool, George. Just out of interest, are you able to push the frequencies out of band? Will it go up to, say, 2 meters, the 2 meter band?
No, there's a setting on there for whether or not you're going to be in the US FM band, or I think maybe the Japanese FM band, which is a little different. But no, I couldn't pick up anything really out of band with it. But it's a nice little radio. There are some newer chips available. I don't know that there's any really set up on Arduino modules. This one did not give me a way to adjust the volume, which I would have liked to have had. Some of the newer chips do that. It did have some scan functions built into it, but I didn't play with those because I wasn't interested in that. There's a number of different libraries out there you can get to work with that particular module. I didn't use any of those. If you notice, I just, right at the bottom, I had some subroutines that called the few functions I needed to of the little module. So I could get all of my code in, one little window there instead of having external libraries. You saw there where you could download the little drawing schematic and the sketch if you want to play with it yourself. I think I paid like $8 for that from Nightfire Electronics at Huntsville. You can find that same module online, probably a little cheaper if you want to order it direct from China. But
you done good, George. You done good.
no, thank you, Emile. The price was right?
Its price was right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
They need to put that in a big, nice wooden case, kind of like that old case Peter had on his segment.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to have to come up with a volume control, though, because
I'm sure you can make one out of that. I saw you make one out of a pill bottle one time.
True, yeah, I could do that.
What you could do is actually build a tube amplifier for the sound, and then just use that as the amplification with a tuning knob for the amplifier.
Well, yeah.
And the imperfection.
Yeah, you could, but
Yes.
it's not AM, Peter. It's just FM. I wish it had AM on it too. But,
All right.
Anyway,
You need to make you an AM DSP to put on it. Degrade the sound.
okay. Well, we've got a couple of more emails or Facebook and Google Plus comments here. And we're going to be giving away this radio package here in just very, very shortly, so don't go away. Emile, your name is up next. What do you have that you want to tell us about there?
I have another Google Plus post on the community from KC9TWX, Travis Taylor. He recently, I think it was the Labor Day holiday weekend, went over to cross the state line to Wisconsin from where he is, and brought his sons over to the HRO store that's up there. I don't know if it's a new one or not. He also said he stopped into a military museum, Russell Military Museum, as well in another state. So that got me thinking, retail-wise outlets, it must be really good living at least close to one of those stores. He did mention that he brought his kids, and the kid went straight for the $14,000 Icom radio, so he must be a smart kid.
It's got great taste.
Not cheap old man compliant.
No, not cheap old man, but compliant, but I would do the same exact thing. So it's like a kid in a candy store. So Anyway, the retail outlets, I guess, are getting far and few between from my perspective. There's nothing I know I can go to readily in my area like that, so that must be a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
There's a HRO maybe 10 miles from here. And I've been coming out here every week for almost 2 years, actually a little over 2 years, and I've yet to make it out there to it, although it hasn't been open 2 years. But anyway, I haven't made it to it yet. They close about the time I get off work, and then I'm usually gone on the weekend.
Yeah. I think that one that he was mentioning there, Emile, in Wisconsin was originally an AES store. And, AES sold out to HRO, and I think that's the only store maybe they kept open was that one.
Oh, they closed the Vegas one, you think?
Yeah, I think they did. I believe they did.
Well, he's got some pictures on our Google Plus community, so if you hang around there, go take a look. It's nice stuff.
Yeah. Peter, you've got one more comment here, don't you?
Yes, it's a very, very brief one. Greg on Facebook sent us an image of unbelievable Cajun squirrel chips.
That's just not right.
You tried those, Tommy?
No, I haven't, and I won't be trying it. I hear squirrels high in cholesterol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Actually, I think maybe those were a product of the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Where do they get their Cajun squirrels from then?
That's a good question. What about it,
Probably
Emile?
imported.
Have you had Cajun squirrel chips?
I have not had Cajun squirrel chips, and I'm a little scared at just the sound of that. If you think of some cow chips, what is it?
Yep. Yeah, true. Very
Do they
true.
use real Cajun squirrel flavoring?
From real Cajun squirrels, because that's where I'm guessing all the Cajun squirrels are down here, right, guys?
That's what I'm
That's
thinking.
the only place I would think you could find them.
Yep.
Could be artificial Cajun squirrel flavoring, Peter.
How would you tell?
I guess you'd have to have somebody that tried the real ones before.
Like Tommy said, it's spicy and it's going to have very high cholesterol content. Yes,
It's got kind of
not the good kind either.
a nutty
I
flavor.
just wonder whether I wonder whether the fur gets caught in your teeth though.
Yikes.
That's not good.
Not good. Well, we're going to give away this radio. We're going to play one thing for you while we get set up for that, so don't go away. Somebody's about to be really happy.
At the end of each month, it's AmateurLogic's Ham College, the new show for those new to the hobby and those wanting to get into amateur radio.
Which of the following is a purpose of the amateur radio service as stated in the FCC rules and regulations?
That inductor and capacitor form a tuned circuit. That's how you tune the radio to the frequency that you want. The English language.
We lived in town. I liked it. I listened to mine a lot. It was really cool because you didn't have to have a battery to power it.
There's our homemade telegraph station. We can use it for long distance communications. Oh, like 3 feet here?
Across the table. The answer is B. Voltage was named after Italian physicist Alessandro Volta.
We can see we're generating a little bit of electricity there. It's DC.
It's always great to go back and get a refresher.
It sure is.
A lot of that stuff, if you've been a ham for a while like we have, you don't really think about a lot of that stuff that often.
They didn't have electric screwdrivers in those days, so that's why we're not using ones.
That's why we went primitive with it.
Yeah. So let's see if we can hear anything when we fire off our spark gap transmitter.
Oh yeah.
Well, we didn't build anything or blow up anything today, but
the night's still young.
and
You know, my eyebrows are just now starting to come back from that spark gap transmitter.
yeah, that was a good while back too.
Yeah.
We still got a little current left in that battery though, so when you're back, we can make the other one match. Well, Tommy, I just told you a moment ago to check your email, and I bet you didn't get the message.
I bet you I did get it.
Oh, did you?
I sure did.
Well, I think we have a winner here.
Okay. You want me to go ahead and announce it?
Well,
you want to leave them in suspense?
Suspense.
I just looked through the chat room, and he is not in the chat room.
Yeah,
So
I checked as well.
somebody may be giving him a call if they know him, but
Yeah.
This is one lucky ham. We just drew it, random drawing of all the entries that we received. And, we wish we had one of these radio packages to give to everyone that watches the show. But we only get one a year. And, boy, what a nice one this year. So, Emile, do you have any cheap sound effects for us?
No, I'm too cheap to buy anything like that.
Okay. All right. Well, Tommy, without further ado.
Okay.
Who is
so
our
the
winner?
The winner this year of the 7300 package is going to be Joseph Ryan Jr., N3NAI of Cape Coral, Florida. N3NAI, Joseph Ryan Jr. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo!
Congratulations, Joseph. We'll be getting in contact with you. Well, hopefully by the time you see this show, since you weren't watching live, you'll know that you won. And
he's in Cape Coral. I'll be going down there for Christmas or for Thanksgiving with my mother. Maybe I need to go by and help him talk on it.
maybe so. Maybe you could just put it in your luggage and take it down with you.
Just drop it off. I'll be driving.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to wait that long for it, though.
Probably not. I don't blame him.
Well, Joseph, you're really going to like this IC-7300. This is one of the exact radios that we used at Field Day this year. Thoroughly enjoyed operating it, and everyone seems to be in love with this little radio here, so we think you will be too. We're going to give you also the 30 amp MFJ switching power supply, the 40 meter off center fed dipole, and 100 feet of RG8X from MFJ, along with what, Tommy?
our private stash of gold PL259s for your wearing enjoyment.
Yeah, not recommended for frequencies above 2,000 hertz. So, yeah, but a great conversation piece. Well,
yeah, we had to throw those in.
Yep. Well, congratulations. Let's see what they say in the chat room. W0JW John said he is past president of the Fort Myers Amateur Radio Club. Wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, time to get extra now. Yeah. Yeah,
that's pretty wild that that's where he lives. Like I said, I'll be going down there at Thanksgiving.
Well, you know, I used to live in Fort Myers, so yeah. I wasn't a ham then, but anyway, we don't know Joseph, but we know that he's going to be happy.
Oh yeah, you're going to enjoy it, Joseph.
Yeah.
Congratulations again, and thanks to the sponsors,
yeah.
Icom America and MFJ Enterprises for providing those prizes for us. Without those guys, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, the table is going to look kind of empty here next month, Tommy.
Yeah, I guess we're going to have to get the sign back out.
I think so. Well, we appreciate everyone who watches the show and has kept us going for these 11 years. It's
11 years.
11 years. We hope to do 11 more. And after that, maybe 12.
Yeah.
All the way to the 100th anniversary episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
when I'm going to sing.
Yep. This is episode 96, so we don't have long for Tommy to learn the theme song if he's going to sing it on the 100th episode.
I've got the words.
You do.
But I can't quite put it to that beat.
We'll change the beat if you'll sing.
What if we get Rockin' Ray to come do it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, you know, I think we could get Rockin' Ray to do it.
He's the only one with crooning experience that I'm aware of.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone. We really enjoy all you guys do to encourage us to keep going with this. And we'll keep going as long as you want to keep watching.
Yeah, you keep watching, we'll keep making them.
Yep. However, for tonight, I think it's about supper time.
I'll second that.
Yep. So we're going to get on out. Again, thanks. Y'all join us again next month, around the 15th. Join us at the end of the month for another Ham College. And, you know, I can't say thank you enough for just supporting Amateur Logic and being here. Oh, I do want to mention a couple of things before we go. You know, Emile is our fashion model here tonight. He's wearing the colors there. It's the Amateur Logic t-shirt and the blue model. You know, I like the blue ones myself. Mm-hmm. You can get these in a standard cheap old man t-shirt, or you can get them in a polo shirt, or you can get them as Peter has over there. You can get a sweatshirt.
Yep. And we've also got Ham College sweatshirts.
Oh, yeah, we do.
And t-shirts.
We do. So if you want to get one of those, well, there's only one place that you can go that we know about it, and that's the Amateur Logic swag shop. And what is that, Tommy? AmateurLogic.spreadshirt.com. Go there, pick you up some swag, and be the best dressed ham at the next Ham Fest. Before we go, Tommy, is there any final thoughts you want to leave the audience with tonight?
Nope. Congratulations again to Joseph, and I hope you enjoy the prize. And thanks for everybody that entered. And keep watching, and we'll keep making the shows like we said earlier.
Yep. Peter, any final things from down under?
Yeah, just congrats to Joe and 73s to everybody. And keep watching.
Yep. And Emile, anything cheap?
Yeah, you know, besides cheap, the shirts on your shirt swag shop, it's good to know that there's also sizes for the larger than life hams as well.
So did we guess the right size?
You guessed it. You nailed it.
Okay.
You got it.
Cool. All right. Well.
And congrats to Joe, and enjoy that rig.
Oh, yeah. Yep, Joe. Hope you enjoy it. Well, thanks for being here, everyone. We'll see you again next month at the same time. 7-3.
73, everybody.
73.
The first one that I want to mention here is this the one I want to mention? Yeah, it is.